Hey everybody, it is so great to be here with you today. I have Kaypacha, Evolutionary Astrologer, New Paradigm Astrologer. Kaypacha, that name couldn't be more perfect at this point in time. I'm sure for a long time you were saying that and people were like, what are you talking about, New Paradigm? Now it's like, okay, got it.
Sooner the better.
Exactly. So we'll be talking about that today. But before we dive in, Kaypacha and I both share a love for and background and experience with Rudolf Steiner's work through the Waldorf schools. And one of the things that the Waldorf school does is they do a verse when they start the day and when they end the day. So Kaypacha posted a verse on Instagram the other day, and I said, oh, God, I love that one. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to end with it. So Kaypacha, if you want to go ahead and pull that up.
Okay.
And you all can read it on the screen or just close your eyes, but this is a verse from Rudolf Steiner.
It's called A Verse for Our Times. We must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror of what comes toward us from out of the future. We must acquire serenity in all feelings and sensations about the future. We must look forward with absolute equanimity to everything that may come. And we must think only that whatever comes is given to us by a world directive full of wisdom. It is part of what we must learn in this age, namely, to live out of pure trust, without any security in existence. Trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world. Truly, nothing else will do if our courage is not to fail us. And let us seek the awakening from within ourselves every morning and every evening.
Thank you. So, Kaypacha, we knew this was going to be big. Did you have any sense that it would be this big?
I did not. I knew that it was the end of the patriarchy, not just a Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto cycle, not just a, this or just that or just the other thing. I knew it was big. I felt that it could happen more smoothly. I thought that it would involve more economics, belief systems, maybe weather, climate change, maybe food supply, but actual people dying and leaving their bodies, passing on, and, all of the, everything kind of hitting at the same time. Social isolation. So it's much deeper, bigger, wider, broader than I was hoping for or expecting.
Yeah. And one of the words that you used during the 2020 event, the forecast event we did in January, was reckoning. A time of reckoning that we would be moving into. And how do you still feel, and I know you also talked about death and resurrection. So let's just talk about those themes a little bit and how you're seeing those now that we actually have context. We actually have the storyline unfolding.
Yeah. I'm actually giving a talk on it's Pluto square Eris, a time of reckoning, in the online summit that we're doing. And it was that square that brought up this time of reckoning, because Eris is not only the goddess of discord, but she is in a way a goddess of death. She would go through the battlefields after the war was over, delighting at the sight of blood and all of the remains of the dead soldiers on the battlefield. She's the sister of Eris, the god of war. And so she is a very Kali figure. I see her very much as a destroyer goddess moving through the sign of Aries in square to Pluto, going, and they both move very slowly. So it's through 2019, it came, all of 2020, and all into 2021. And if you give it 1 or 2 degree orb, you could say 2018 to 2022 with just a 1 or 2 degree bore. I'm only talking like exact conjunctions. There's like, more than 5 of them. There's 7 exact squares, not conjunctions, squares. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, to me, this Eris, moving through Aries is beginning. And in order to begin again, it's what I call, we're going now through a global reset. This is a global reset. We are just getting leveled. It's just, we're going to start over from scratch, economically and politically and personally and, health wise. This is a major, restart. And I think that a lot of that has to do with resistance to the evolutionary process. So it's when we fight and resist evolution, that is the cause of pain and suffering. If we cooperated with the evolutionary intentions of Gaia, the way I feel is like we are peach fuzz, okay, on the peach of Gaia. And Gaia has her own evolutionary process. Each planet has its own evolutionary process. I mean, spiritual science, everything is a spirit. Gaia is a spirit, right? And we have spirits of time and spirits of the Caryatides and the Dynamis and the Seraphim and Cherubim and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. But, we have all kinds of spirits, and Gaia has her, she is an evolving being. And if we look at it that we're hitchhikers on her process, okay, she can just, she's shaken us off before. We have Noah's flood, okay, whether you want to say that's Atlantis or not, but, Steiner says that, basically this is the 4th reincarnation of Earth. So, we are definitely, like I say, I think part of it is humbling. It started out that, we were the center of the universe. And then we find out that the sun is the center and we're orbiting around the sun. And then we find out that the sun is going around a galaxy. And then we find that we're this tiny little galaxy. I mean, you know what? We're getting smaller and smaller and smaller all the time. And this is part and parcel of the yin and the yang, the patriarchy, the matriarchy. I mean, we can just look at this. Chiron is in Aries, Eris is in Aries. We are dealing with, okay, distorted, suppressed, okay, wounded masculine energy. And it's rampant. It's just rampant. It's, for the last 6,500 years of patriarchy, we have sought to dominate this planet, to exploit her resources, to rape her of everything that she's got and pollute her waters and her air and her earth with all of our waste. I mean, we are headed towards extinction. Whether it's climate change or whether it's, what viruses are. Viruses are excretions from cells that are stressed. They're stressed, they fill up with toxins, and they excrete a virus. And then this virus goes out and spreads. Now, whether this is natural or whether it was made in a laboratory, in some ways, you know, people are fighting about that, but it doesn't really matter that much. The fact is, okay, we need to really look at ourselves and how we are living in harmony with, you know, with nature. It's this, the difference between being a custodian of nature and being an exploiter of nature. And this masculine, conquering, narcissistic, self-centered, I, me, my, I want my personal liberties. And it's very much what we're doing is we're moving into this age of Aquarius, and the opposite is Leo. So we're going to be dealing with this energy of my personal rights and my goods and my toilet paper and, you know, my ventilators and my country and my me, my me, my me, my. Or we're going to move into a new paradigm. We're going to move into a society filled with individuals that are awakened and they're aware that they're part of a group, like cells in an organism. And we need to be aware of the other cells in the organism. We need to be cooperating politically. Okay, we need to be cooperating economically and physically with each other and socially, and really taking care of our elders. I was told a long time ago, you know, by the indigenous peoples, a culture can be measured by, you know, how well they take care of their elders. And if we want to measure some of our societies by that today, I'd say that we have a pretty sad situation. So I think that the feminine, whether you want to call it Eris, Kali, you know, Black Moon Lilith, she's also moving through Aries, right? You know, yeah, this is really the start of, and what I feel, I even shared it on Facebook yesterday, this beautiful I Will Rise. It's so gorgeous. You have to check it out. I should share it with your page.
Is it art or a...
It's the feminine. It's a video with music and a poem of I Shall Rise. And there's this one part in it where they morph. Okay, all the pictures, all the ancients, all the grandmothers from Egypt and Bali, and and the faces, just for the Virgin Mary, and it's all the faces of the feminine. It's just amazing. I'm gonna snatch a little piece of it for my next Pele report.
Nice.
So. I mean, I can just keep talking, but.
So you're seeing this as the reset in which we are being asked to return to a more harmonious life with the planet and with each other. And how do you think we actually get there? Is it through this humbling process? Is it through, because there's a lot of different storylines out there, some of which would take us way further away from nature and harmony with the planet and with each other, some that would bring us closer to it. So how do you see that? I mean, obviously we're at a crossroads. I mean, we're at a pivotal moment. And for each individual out there, how do they navigate the direction that they'd love to see, the more harmonious direction?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's a number of different things going on. And this is what we can say is it's a long process, and Gaia's got all the time in the world. This idea that this is, going to be taken care of, or we're just going to, snap into this or snap into that. I don't see that happening at all, particularly with the amount of resistance that there is, particularly from the Western countries, who are very, liberty, self-oriented, and not willing to curtail their own pleasures, needs, wants, and desires for the good of the whole. And this is the whole thing is a process of becoming aware of our unity, of being one with the whole, of with each other. What is it? The butterfly, flaps its wings in Thailand and there's a hurricane in Florida, or, I mean, it's like, we're all part, we're the unified field is becoming more of a reality and a reality and a reality. And so to me, we have these two different kind of options happening. And Aquarius is, it's funny, Aquarius even has the two different waves and they're not even connected. Pisces has the two fish, but they're connected. Yeah. Aquarius is two separate ones, right? And to me, one is the elite. Okay, the billionaire robots, 1% that enslaves, the whole QAnon and the whole, conspiracy theories and David Icke and all this, kind of thing where, yes, we were going to be a slave planet, according to, and they're going to inject little, computers in us and, run our lives and whatever, I mean, there's, and we need to fight. And we need to resist, and we need to, destroy and drain the swamp, and indict and take care of all the bad black hats or whatever. I mean, and the other is that we come into this age of Aquarius like was in the Hair musical back in the '60s, where we eat organic and we're healthy and we're aware of each other and we live in peace and harmony with our planet and with each other. And, to me, one is capitalism, one could be socialism. I mean, I think Bernie dropping out of the race for the United States was really super sad. I think that, the United States is like Atlantis. It's a leader for the whole planet, and Hollywood and Washington and the politics that are going on there is like really powerfully influencing, the future course of events on our planet and people's psyches in a very big way. And, when we really look at it, this dismantling, I don't care, the white hats think that Trump is going to save the day. Okay. He's just another capitalist. He could drain the swamp and get rid of the bad guys and then just, build more walls and build up the economy and the stock market at the expense of the environment and the poor people. And, just do the exact same thing that they think they're getting rid of. So, to me, it's a change in consciousness. It's an educational process. So what you're saying and what you're asking is what individual people can do. We can look at the big process, but individually, for me, I feel that this is a graduation process. Saturn has to do with graduation. Saturn is moving into Aquarius. It's moving out of Capricorn. It's moving out of its conjunction with Pluto, and it's beginning a whole new cycle. And this beginning of this new cycle, to me, is this graduation. And if we use evolutionary astrology, we know that there's 3 major evolutionary stages. And to me, it's the consensus. The consensus stage is 3/4 of the world's population that's following an external authority, that's looking to a president or a dictator or, People's Republic, or, is looking for an external guidebook and is looking for someone to tell them what is good and right and wrong and success and failure and da-da-da-da. Well, they're graduating. So 3/4 of the planet needs to graduate out of being sheep that are following somebody else, and they need to own and begin to think for themselves and create for themselves. This is a time where we need to create new economies. We need to create new jobs for ourselves. We need to really become, okay, and this is Uranus going through Taurus, we need to like really innovate. We need to reinvent ourselves so that we are more self-sufficient and we are not so dependent upon, okay, you know, these external corporations, Bezos and Elon Musk or Bill Gates. I mean, it's just like, you know, so, you know, we need entrepreneurship, you know, and we need to come out of this herd mentality of following to self-initiation. And then you've got the 20% that are in the individuated stage, okay, and they've awakened, and they are the entrepreneurs, and they are the geniuses and the scientists and the smarty pants, and they got the money, and they're not really, their bank accounts are not being slaughtered, okay, by the economic recession. Okay, so we have these people, okay, you're billionaires, and they're graduating out of the individuated stage into the spiritual stage. Out of, it's all about me and my money and I'm on top and I'm in control. Well, their graduation has to do with becoming philanthropists. It has to do with, giving away free vaccines and free healthcare and free ventilators and, free tests. And, I mean, there's a whole movement that I'm looking at now is just, this is called helicopter cash. It's, basically that, part of this age of Aquarius can be that the governments give everybody a basic, enough to pay their mortgage and buy their food for the rest of their lives. We can set up an economy where everybody is taken care of. Everybody gets food, clothing, and shelter. This is definitely doable at this time. We can make up the supply lines and the supply chain. And I mean, I've got whole, information, regarding, okay, that this is, been already floated. And part of, I think, what's going on, this bailout, this $2 trillion bailout is a perfect example of, the government could be getting, I mean, 1,200 is a pop in the bucket. But basically, we can create new economies where this is not going to happen again.
But who controls that? I mean, and how, like, doesn't that just make the control structure, like, who's deciding how much people get and who gets it? And I mean, that feels so like consolidating control into very, very few hands.
Well, it's it's a group. It has to be. Aquarius is all about groups, and it's about governments becoming really, in truth, by the people, for the people, and of the people. Right? I mean, this is a flip turnaround from a hierarchy, okay, to where we get switched around, and people are together calling the shots, and we've got the technology to absolutely abolish the electoral college and to absolutely bring in new ways where everybody can be heard and everybody can have input. But the way that I'm seeing this happening, it's going to take some time. I think that we've got Neptune moving through Pisces, okay, for until 2024, 2025, and it's dissolving the illusions. We're in a process of disillusionment for the next few years. Pluto doesn't move into Aquarius until 23, 24. So, I think when Pluto moves into Aquarius, Neptune moves into Eris. And last but not least, it's really that I think Uranus has to move, into Gemini. And in 2026, when Uranus moves into Gemini, it's going to make a very nice trine up to Pluto in Aquarius, a sextile over to Neptune in Aries. And there's, things are going to start to curve. The curve is going to flatten. So the amount of pain, suffering, loss, disease, and death that we experience between now and then, to me, it's just really how much Gaia needs to teach us and how good of a students we are in learning her lessons. And, you know, taking these tests, you always have tests before graduation. So, you know, if we're all graduating, we've got some tests to do here. And I was looking at this curve yesterday of the Spanish flu, and it had this little curve, which is like where they said we are now, the little curve with the virus. And then in the fall, that was the big curve. Like the big curve is coming. And we know that we've got, okay, you know, Jupiter and Saturn are both going to be going retrograde. They're both going back to visit Pluto. Okay, you know, and September, October, November, okay, you know, we may think we're going to come out of this like, oh, the weather warmed up, and you know, it's the curve is lowering, and let's all run out in our bikinis on the beach and everything. But you know, this is temporary. The virus is already mutated into 3 different strains. Okay, and it can go into many, many more different strains. And even if they make a vaccine for 1 or 2, okay, it can mutate into another. So what I'm saying is that, you know, Gaia is ingenious. We read this verse at the beginning of our talk. Divine intelligence. There is a divine intelligence. There is a divine intention. There is a bigger, huger evolutionary process that we need to listen to, adapt to, learn from, and grow into, or we are going to continue. And I don't care if it's forest fires, hurricanes, viruses, rising oceans. You know, it's like we have to like get into this mindset that there's nothing out there. It's not happening to us. It's a, you know, and this is astrology: as above, so below, as without, so within. The macrocosm mirrors the microcosm. So if there's anything that each one of us can do, you know, personally and individually, to me, it's meditation. To me, it's, you know, getting out of our polarized left brain, good, bad, right, wrong, white hat, black hat, yes, no, me, you, da, 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 you know, and still the mind, and build the magnetic field of the heart, which is stronger than the magnetic field of the brain, and get out of this polarized consciousness that there's somebody doing it to somebody else. I was actually thinking about this whole thing with fear, because I had somebody go, I'm leaving your community because you are afraid of 5G, or, you know, you're building fear around 5G. And there's this whole big thing now. Don't be afraid. It's all a sham, you know. It's like we got to really look, because the very same people that are saying don't be afraid of the virus, be afraid of Bill Gates, be afraid of the cabal, you know, be afraid of, you know, the Illuminati. I mean, and they're building their own fear about, you know, some other invisible dark force. So, you know, I think the people that are afraid of, you know, a virus that's actually killing people, you know, have a little bit more on the ball than, you know, people that are like, you know, building fear around like this is whole big, huge conspiracy. I mean, this is like insane. Anyway, gosh, I'm really.
Well, I think the point is that, okay, so let's just take any scenario whose fear is more legitimate than other people's fear, which one's right or which one's wrong. It actually doesn't really matter, because something that you said in the beginning or towards the beginning is really important for us to remember, that if we go into whatever the next phase of this reality of this world is with the same level of consciousness, inevitably we will create the same results. There's no way for us to transcend out of this cycle that isn't serving the planet, the animals, the people, the whole, until we are in an entirely different level of consciousness through which we see the world, through which we make decisions, through which we create our structures, all of it, we will continue to create the same thing over and over. And, you know, I think that that's a really important thing for us to remember. And that's why what you're saying about meditation and what you're saying about the mind and these things is so important. And it can seem so passive or insignificant. And I can see that, like, no, there's got to be something more I could do. There's got to be something bigger I can do. It's like, well, but if as above, so below, if so as within, so without, and vice versa, then it's the most important thing. It's really the only thing. And it truly is the only thing we have any control over. So it's really interesting to witness all the dialogues and to witness how the different things affect each person, including myself. And I come back to this point over and over, though. It's like, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Maybe, you know, there's so many different potential truths right now. But at the end of the day, if we stay the same, you know, my daughter said this. Oh God, she's so wise. Yesterday we're driving. She goes, Mama, I really hope it doesn't just go back to normal and everyone and people forget to really make a change. Like, I really hope that it really just doesn't just go back to normal. And I went, whoa,
Yeah.
wow. Like,
yeah.
Yes, because that's taking like, whenever any of you, and I know so many of you have gone through crisis, you've gone through like really, really dark periods in your life. If we don't like find the gold in it and get to the very depth of what it has to offer us, then it's a wasted crisis. It's a wasted trauma, you know. But if we can get into it and find that ability to really shift the way that we're seeing things, like truly shift it, you know, then we're doing our children a disservice and we're doing the future generations a disservice. And this is a really huge opportunity for each one of us. The crossroads is not just external. It's not just, you know, the government or the cabal or whatever. It's all of our, I think, yeah. And it's that verse in the beginning, which we will end with, is really like, we are being asked to trust at a level that I don't know if most of us have been asked to trust at this level. Like, it's like a, all right, like, I'm jumping out of that plane. It feels like without a parachute, but like something's going to catch us, you know, so eventually, someday, sometime, you know.
And that whole surrendering is kind of a feminine, you know, it's like, I am going to surrender some of my control and trust to the spiritual world. This is not a super masculine, egoic, I am going to conquer, I am going to beat it, I am going to, you know, revolt or rebel. It's actually, it's a very, you know, it is a passive, and we're, you know, and we can feel after thousands of years of male domination that it's do nothing. What does he call it? The do nothing Democrats. You know, it's, you know, that it's, you know, it's lazy to, like, you know, meditate and sit at home and do nothing and whatever. But, you know, in reality, there's, you know, this allows for a greater, broader intelligence to kind of, you know, descend. I really feel like it's Mother Nature telling her kids to go to your room. I mean, just think about this. It's like, go to your room, stay home, reflect and think about what you have been doing and what you have done, and really decide consciously if that is what you want to continue doing. Do you want to continue being a producer and a consumer? You know, there's just so much, you know, that, you know, has led up to this point. We can reflect, you know, if we really see how everything is connected, and this didn't just come out of nowhere or some laboratory or some bat, but, you know, it's just like, you know, our world has come to a place where people were stressed. Look at 2019. Before this, people were stressed, and it was all about work, and it was all about survival. And part of the all about work and all about survival was because we were spending all of our money on, new consumer products and items, and dates and bars and Tinder and meetups and and it's just been all about this kind of instant gratification. It's like the technology has really come so far, okay, that we can get outside of the natural rhythms of nature into this hyperspace where we want everything now, and there's no patience needed. And it's just like, this is a major, like, let's reset, let's look at, and let's use more consciousness, rather than going from fulfill desire to fulfill desire to fulfill desire to fulfill desire to fulfill desire. Pause. That's where freedom is between the impulse and the action. Yeah, and the longer you can pause between the impulse and the action, the more freedom you have to choose that action out of the impulse. And this is consciousness. This is Uranus moving through Taurus, and he's doing it, with the economy. He's doing it with money. It's just like, it's not there. You better spend it wisely, okay? And you better look at, how you're earning it and where it's going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's just really, it's all good. It's a painful process. Like I say, I think that, and we can be in for more pain, because I don't see, the majority really accepting, go to your room, meditate, think about this, contemplate, create a new paradigm. I'm seeing a huge number of people that they just want to go back to the way it was. They can't stand this. I want to go back to the same job I was doing. I want to go back to the same bar that I went to. I want to go back to I want to go back. And as long as people are wanting, to go back, we're not going to be going, I mean, this is like, and I think, like I say, going back is only going to create a mutated virus that's going to just come back with us again, or it's going to, there's going to be some, other catastrophe with Uranus and Taurus, okay, and Pluto's still, moving through Capricorn and Earth sign. And we know that Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, has to do with trauma, sudden unexpected events. And, these are intense times of transition. These next 6 years can be, it's like, you've got kids, right? Birth can be, there's a lot of different ways to give birth. I mean, our third one just slid out of there like, yeah, I'm here. The first one was breach. We had to turn her around. She had a big head, and it was really hard getting her out of there. And it's, it's just like, wow, you can have, nice underwater birth where, it's just like, absolutely wonderful, and mama can squat down and do it naturally, or, go into, whatever, there's all different ways of giving birth. We are giving birth to a new paradigm. It's like it or not, take as long as you want. We can, there's, suffer as much as you want. It will, I think it will come. I'm an optimist. I feel that we are on an evolutionary trajectory, and that those that are in the spiritual stage, right, or the, even, it's like the individuated, helps the consensus, the spiritual helps the individuated. It's education. Well, if there's anything that we can do for people, of course, I've been saying it for years, if you want job security, just get into the healing arts. That was before the virus, but now, through all of this, it is about reaching our brothers and sisters. It is about maintaining trust, faith, surrender, kind of sharing and teaching the methods. And whether it is the gene keys or astrology or yoga or the I Ching, or, I mean, there are so many, okay, crystals and shamanism and da 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 da. I mean, you can have suitcases full of various, tools, instruments, techniques, to, assist ourselves and the ones that we love, to a smooth birthing process.
Totally. It's we were talking before we went live about how some days I wake up and it's just like this pit in my stomach, like this just like heaviness. And sometimes the practices help to clear it and sometimes they don't. And sometimes you just have to like walk with it and feel it and just be with it. And then I was thinking about the people that don't have any tools. They don't have astrology. They don't have yoga. They don't have meditation. They have not gotten to that place yet in their life where they've found these things. And I think, yeah, I think, oh my gosh, with all of that, this is challenging. Like with a cap, I mean, all caps challenging, not just this is challenging. Like this is challenging. And so without it, it's like, oh my God, I was thinking about the people that would maybe wake up and turn on the news and have that news blaring all day and then just try to live. It's like, oh my God, just talk about whitewater. So yes, I hear what you're saying. Like this is a time not only to utilize those tools like in their fullest, in the darkest times of my life. I remember like years where every single day I woke up with that pit in my stomach. And the only time I didn't have it was when I was doing yoga or doing hula. And otherwise, like those were my moments of just like, okay, like I can breathe. It's okay. I'm here. Maybe the pit would come right back after, but at least I have those moments of like, clarity and peace. Yeah. Which is a big deal. If we can have just even a few of those moments, those moments are enough. And I've said this so many times recently, those moments are enough for God, for light, for inspiration, for revelation, whatever it is, to come through and change us on a very, very deep level. So it's like, pull everything out right now. And I was doing a yoga this morning on Gaia, .com, and I was thinking, I need to give this to my brother. Like I want him to have this because I think it would really help. It was a really good one. And that's what you're saying, like sharing these practices with people and, and just holding each other through this, which, nobody is alone in this. And yes, everybody's experiencing it at different levels. And the arguments that get into whose pain is more painful than other people's pains is like, oh my God, no, like we're just like, we're going through it, we're going through it. Yeah. And anything that's pitting us really against each other is just not helpful in the long run.
I mean, I am really seeing for sure with my moon in Gemini, man. We are social beings.
Oh my gosh, my moon in Gemini too. Kaypacha.
Oh
my gosh, yes.
I mean, just, the idea of, going to a concert, or just, nostalgia, really.
I just would hang out in a coffee shop to do my writing and do my work just because I like to be around people. Like, yeah. I don't even need to talk to anybody all day. It's just like, it's just around the energy of humans. It's invigorating for me. Yeah. So, yeah.
This is a really good reminder to value our relationships, value society, value other people that, love is, binding and bonding and unifying and bringing us together. And it's a huge part of life.
Kaypacha, we also share the Hawaii connection. And I've been thinking so much about how the Hawaiians lived here. And I'm not trying to make, paint some picture of utopia. I know they had their things, but when it comes to living in harmony with the land, I feel like they had it down. And, one of the things I was thinking, I was thinking about how they had the people that were like the gatherers. They were the ones like doing the tarot, growing the tarot, and growing the food. And then they had the fishermen and women that would be in charge of bringing food from the sea, and they would share across. The people up country and the people down at the ocean, and they would share. And I mean, there was so much beauty. And when people came over to take over the land here, the concept of land ownership was so foreign that they thought it was a joke. They literally, their consciousness could not wrap. It was like, well, that's like selling the sky. Like, you can't sell pieces of the sky. You can't own and sell pieces of the land. They didn't understand it. And so, they were selling things off for $1 because they were like, yeah, whatever. I don't even know what you're talking about, So it is. And have you read the Anastasia books?
Yeah.
The Anastasia series? I mean, the Dachshunds and the whole, I'm going to go back to that. And actually, I think Anna on my team just started reading that again. But this idea that each one of us has this plot of land that we're responsible for cultivating and stewarding and taking care of, and that it gets shared throughout the community. That's, for me, Kaypacha, that one feels more like, it feels more serving in some ways than the idea, and I'm not to discount what you were bringing up earlier, but the idea that there's some central group like distributing to everybody, it's like, maybe, I don't know. It seems even more plausible to me that each community is really, because it's so intertwined, caring for each other and taking care of each other. And because the thing with the central thing, like handing everything out, it's like, there's
Don't
a big
get me wrong with that.
Okay. All right. I won't. I just, that one to me feels
All
like
I meant was that nobody should have to worry about clothing, food, and shelter.
Right. Which the Hawaiians had covered. Oh my gosh. They had the ones who made the kapa, which is the cloth and everything. And everyone had their place, and not in like some weird thing where you like some caste society where you're stuck and you can't, it was voluntary. It was like, I have hula in me. So from a young age, I know that my role, my contribution is going to be a spiritual one. I'm going to dance and raise the vibration with my body and with my chant. I mean, that's my contribution, so, and it was thought of that way, not like, oh, I'm stuck as a hula dancer or I'm stuck as a fisherman. It's like, we're going to work together and everybody has a role. And I can see that being such a beautiful reality. I mean, really beautiful reality. And so, I mean, and this is where, astrology is so amazing, because I feel that each person holds keys to this blueprint that we can bring about on this planet, this new paradigm that you're talking about. And so really connecting into like, what is my contribution? And yeah, it's amazing to watch and witness the process. And anybody who's given birth knows that I don't think anybody, no matter what, even if they say it was blissful, I don't know that you would categorize it as like the most comfortable thing you've ever done. But is it the most empowering? Is it the most enlightening? Is it the most life-changing? Yeah, it can be. It really can be. And like you said, there's lots of different ways to give birth. And I've done both. I've done very different ways. One, put all my trust in a hospital and in doctors that didn't know me, and it just I trust you to do this. I'll just go and I'll just have the baby, and I'll take my epidural and boom, I'll have a baby. Like, whoa, that's not the way it worked out. Not even close. Second one, I'm going to do the birth at home in the water with ceremony. When I was in ceremony, it was amazing. It wasn't comfortable still, but it was amazing. It was amazing. So we're in that. Birth is such a good analogy. Kaypacha, are you ready to revisit that verse? Oh, before we even go there, like we should end with the verse for real. But before we go there, I'd love to talk about your event, because this event that you were going to be doing in Costa Rica, which I was like, oh, I want to go, and I want to bring my daughters. Yeah. Well, anyways, you're bringing it online. You're bringing it online, and people can join you online. I think it's awesome that you're still doing it, and people need it now more than ever. And maybe you're going to be able to impact so many more people because you are going to be doing it virtually. And yes, it's different. I mean, doing yoga together in a group is very different than doing it online, but you're still doing it, and I think it's great. So do you want to tell people about it?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna have the video camera right here, and I'm gonna do yoga in the backyard.
Awesome.
I mean, the nice thing is that, yeah, there can be way more people, people that couldn't, afford to, fly
Right.
down here and stay on the beach or whatever. So, I mean, the price is like dribbles, and the content is still massive. We're even going to have virtual dinner parties. So we
Oh,
could all get together and even have video and, my audio conversations with each other, and, Facebook group page, and a question and answer forum. But then it is May 4 to 10 from morning until night. It's all recorded, but, you could be you could go on this whole journey of like letting go of everything and just immersing yourselves in all of the astrology of your natal chart, of the transits, of, and just like, really experience the glory, wonder, magnificence, intelligence, written in the wisdom of the stars for an entire week. And and it's all recorded, so you can come back 5 years later if you missed a talk, or something like that. So you could re-listen to the same talk over and over. So it's great for people that are into astrology. We've got Rick Levine, Nadia Shaw, Maurice Fernandez, the whole dream team, with myself. It's so you get different faces, different perspectives, looking at things in different ways. Julia Sims from Australia, Sol is from Norway. So we have kind of an international group of astrologers that are presenting. And so it's we just did a 2.5 hour webinar on it yesterday. Everybody talked, and we gathered people's questions so that we could incorporate people's questions into our presentations.
it's so good.
And we're offering $50 off until tomorrow noon.
Nice.
So
All
the
right.
timing of our this
That's
is
perfect. I didn't know that. Well, go ahead. We're going to
Yeah.
put the link in the chat, and we'll put the link in the description so you can just of this video. So it's going to be amazing, Kaypacha. I think it's really cool and creative and supportive. It's really, and like you said, I mean, at the hub, we love the different perspectives. It's the whole point of having Astrology Hub, is that, and there's so much value in the different perspectives and the different voices and the different ways to interpret reality, and for that to come together in a place where it all can be shared. It all can be honored and cherished, because there's a place for all of these different perspectives, and it doesn't have to be who's right or wrong. It's let's look at it all. Let's look at it all.
The original name was Unity and Diversity.
Whoa. The original name of your event?
That was what it was going to be when we titled it last year. It was going to be Unity, and because Saturn and the, but we've kind of now it's shaping a new paradigm.
Both good.
Because it's kind of it's we're not coming together, unity and diversity quite as much as needing to really.
Yeah. What's more needed right now? Exactly. I mean, it's all needed, but definitely. Well, now, that is part of shaping the new paradigm, is unity and diversity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got
to. Yeah. Would you like to bring up the verse again? So for those of you who joined us, later, we started this talk with a verse from Rudolf Steiner. Kaypacha and I both love Rudolf Steiner's work. And so we started with this verse, and we're going to end with this verse, which is what the Waldorf schools do a lot of, verses. Actually, I got this gardening verse from my daughter's gardening teacher. I'll read that one to you at some point too, you guys. It's so good. Your fingers on the, what is that?
Oh, do you see my finger? Oh, did I not? I thought I was sharing the screen.
I was like, wait, maybe he wants us to see his ring for some reason. Is there
No. I just went right to the thing without sharing it. And that's the way you make it bigger. I messed it up.
There
Okay.
you go.
Oh, sorry. A Verse for Our Times by Rudolf Steiner. We must eradicate. Why don't you read it? I read it at the beginning.
Oh, okay. All right. We must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror of what comes toward man and woman out of the future. We must acquire serenity in all feelings and sensations about the future. We must look forward with absolute equanimity to everything that may come. And we must think only that whatever comes is given to us by a world directive full of wisdom. It is part of what we must learn in this age, namely to live out of pure trust, without any security in existence. Trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world. Truly, nothing else will do if our courage is not to fail us. And let us seek the awakening from within ourselves every morning and every evening. Gonna be reading that one a lot. We can put that in the description for you all too. So thank you, Kaypacha. Thank you so much for being here. It's always such a pleasure to hear your thoughts and share your wisdom with our community. I'm serious. We love it.
Thanks
we love
for
it.
having me, Amanda. You're great. I love coming. And I'm looking forward to December when I come to share in the inner circle.
Oh my gosh, Kaypacha, wow, we will have been on such a journey by then. And I remember we were looking forward to you being the last inner circle guide of this year because of that Jupiter conjunction. So, I mean, more to come on that, I know.
You betcha.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. If you want to be alerted when we do these special edition episodes, and if you want to get a summary of all the special editions that we're doing here at Astrology Hub every week, you can go to astrologyhub.com/podcast and just sign up to get the weekly digest pretty much. I don't have a name for it yet, but that just goes through all the different things that are available for you. So thank you everybody for joining us, and I can't wait to see you again soon tomorrow with Ann Ortley for our current astrological weather. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you, Kaypacha.
Namaste. Aloha.